Welcome to another episode of Sat Chat's Short Stacks. Most people know that Bitcoin miners use a ton of energy, but not everyone understands why. Today we're breaking down just how that energy translates into security in just 3 simple steps. I'm your host, Chris. Smash the subscribe button on our YouTube channel.
And I am Stewart, Bitcoin Maxi, your co-host for these short stacks. So we were talking on a rehash the other day about how miners secure the network. And you stopped me and you're like, how? Literally, what are you talking about? And
well, it was like, yeah, I hear you say that term all the time, like miners secure the network, but I don't fully understand exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I fully knew what I meant at the time, because I was thinking about like miners powering the network because they're doing all the work and they're adding so much compute power to the network that you would need a ton of compute power to attack the network. So they're kind of securing it by being there and doing the right thing. But we wanted to shoot a short stack for you satillionaires that goes into more detail into exactly how a miner working secures Bitcoin.
Okay, so we're going to get into the nuance of how we already understand that miners mine Bitcoin. We get how that works.
Right.
But how is their work actually translating into security for the network? So step 1, we know this, right? Miners compete to solve a puzzle.
Effectively, a miner is going to grab a block of transactions
out of the meme pool,
which is just a whole bunch of information. It's like a string of information about what Bitcoin is going from which wallet to another. They are going to add a single number to the end of that block. Like, think about a sentence like Stewart and Chris are the hosts of Sat Chats. And then I'm just going to add the number 1 on the end. I'm going to hash that information, which is basically a computer process that sends your data down a one-way street, transforms it into a string of information that can't really be reverse engineered back out. Okay, so you're sending it on a one-way journey, and you're hoping when it goes through that one-way journey, it's going to be a specific number that meets Bitcoin's requirements. And short story long, it's a very difficult number to find. So it's so difficult, you just have to guess. So when you hash Stewart and Chris are the hosts of Sat Chats 1 and it's the wrong answer, then you say Stewart and Chris are the hosts of Sat Chats 2. Stewart and Chris are the hosts of Sat Chats 3. Stewart and Chris are the hosts of Sat Chats 4. And you're sending it through, hoping that it will create this one-way string that solves the puzzle. And it's so hard. We're talking about like millions of guesses a second from some of these computers. Billions? Trillions?
A second?
Yeah, a lot. So these miners, they're all competing to solve this puzzle. And that means their computers, their mining rigs are requiring real world resources from them in order to do this work. This isn't like digital money inside a video game that doesn't take any real effort. You're putting real money into the computer. You're putting real money into the energy that goes into the computer. You're putting real money into the maintenance of that rig, or maybe even people who might maintain a facility of these that are all connected. You're not just flipping on a switch. You're spending real resources, and you're putting in true effort in order to, put that next line on Bitcoin's big fat spreadsheet in the sky, to put the next block in the blockchain, to add another line to that big old spreadsheet.
Got it.
So what's the next step?
Next step is that a winner takes all. Like, you get one winner, it makes the right guess, and then it takes that block and commits it to the blockchain.
Yeah, imagine like unwrapping the chocolate bar and you have the golden ticket inside. You're going to do just like some of those kids did. You grab it, you hold it off. I got it. I found it. Right. So as a miner, you're going to broadcast to the network of nodes, right, that you found the solution. And these nodes are going to check your work. And so when the nodes say, yep, you did get it right, because it's very hard to get right, it's incredibly easy to check whether it is right. Then that miner gets to commit that block to the blockchain. They get to put that line in that big fat spreadsheet in the sky, and they get rewarded. How much Bitcoin do they get right now for solving a block?
3.125.
3.125. It's Epoch 5, I believe we're in. They get 3.125 Bitcoin plus transaction fees. So here's the flip side. If a miner puts in all the work to try to commit a block that has fake transactions. Oh, I'm just going to like create some Bitcoin. I'm just going to declare that there's 100 Bitcoin in this address, and I'm going to send it to my actual wallet. Hee hee, I'm so smart. Well, they put all those resources into solving the puzzle. And when they put their work out there, the nodes are going to go, wrong. You lose. And all the energy and time and effort and money that they put into trying to cheat the system goes up in smoke. So miners are rewarded for following the rules, for working with only legitimate transactions, and for not trying to cheat the network. Because if they do, their efforts go up in smoke. So real world resources, real world consequences, okay, for solving a block or trying to fake a block. Let's talk about how this actually secures the network, because we haven't really quite gotten to it's like, okay, I get that. That's how mining works. But how does it secure the network? This is pretty interesting.
Okay.
So when you put a block on top of another one, you're stacking them up, right? If I want to go 3 blocks down to maybe insert a malicious transaction, or maybe I want to try to rewrite that block so that Bitcoin that was sent from here to here actually gets routed to me instead. I'm not even sure how you would try to attack this, but you need to redo the proof of work of all 3 blocks to get down. You need to undo the work that's been done, start over, and then you need to try to commit that block to the blockchain, have that get verified somehow by pulling the wool over the eyes of the nodes, and then you got to catch up. Because the way Bitcoin works, miners always work on the longest chain. They always work on the longest chain. So if the block you want to manipulate is 3 blocks down, and somehow you do, everybody's going to go, well, we're working on block number 4 because this is the longest chain. This is the shorter chain. So you would have to somehow come over here and then juke, and get out ahead. So to do that, you have to have more computing power than there already is. It's very hard to do.
Is it impossible to do? Has it ever been done?
No.
Okay.
Bitcoin has never been hacked.
Right.
Now imagine trying to start over 30 blocks down, 300 blocks down, 3,000 blocks down.
So the more time that passes between when a transaction that you initiate gets committed to a block, the more secure that transaction becomes, because the harder it gets for a hacker to potentially go back and rewrite what happened back then.
Yeah, you got a mountain of work ahead of you, right? Now, so I stacked some sats last week. When I roll over that transaction, it's been verified 300 times. I stacked sats last year. It's been verified 53,000 times.
Yeah, because every time a new block is committed,
they check everything. So if you wanted to say, Stewart, you didn't stack those sats a year ago, you would have to dig back down and do a mountain of work and then somehow catch all the way back up. It's not going to work.
All right.
So that's how they secure it, by adding more blocks.
Yeah.
It gets more and more secure.
Yeah. So let me see if I can understand this correctly and say it back to you in kind of layman's terms.
Okay.
So if I'm thinking about the blockchain as like an onion, okay, miners, and like the center of the onion is, let's say, the most important thing. As miners commit blocks to the blockchain, they're adding a layer of security outside, and then another layer, and then another layer, and then another layer. And so just by doing their work as a miner, mining Bitcoin, committing blocks to the blockchain, they're making it ever more and more and more and more and more difficult to essentially attack the historical record of the blockchain.
Absolutely.
They're just adding another layer of protection each time they mine a block.
Right. By expending real world resources and following the rules of Bitcoin, focusing on legitimate transactions, no funny business, winning, solving the puzzle, getting their reward of Bitcoin, they are stacking up that historical record for everyone to see, and it gets harder and harder and harder to reverse that the longer it's been around. Mining the network is securing the network. Beautiful, efficient, elegant, futuristic, amazing.
So from now on, when you say the miners are doing their work of securing the network, I will have a better understanding of what you mean, and hopefully all of our satillionaires who have watched this short stack will also understand what the heck you're talking about. All right. This has been another successful episode. Okay. Sat chats, short stacks. We're successful over here. We're having success.
We're going to be able to add this episode to our chain of short stacks episodes.
Good job securing the Sat Chats network today, Stewart.
You and I, by producing this content, are securing the Sat Chats channel. 100%.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
it's been great. And we would love it if you could remember to, well, first of all, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe.
Million sats. Live show, million sats.
How hard is it, guy? What are you doing?
Live million sats show sats, million live show.
If you're not subscribed, I am pissed.
Dude, what are you doing?
Okay. Remember, Sat Chats is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. We will see you on the next one.